Hi, I'm Henry Salazar with RHE Development. Today we're going to be sharing information about Senate Bill 9, the Home Act. It's going to be valuable information that can impact your careers in real estate. Let's get into it. A little background on myself. I come from the real estate world, but about 10 years ago, we've been working in civil litigation, science, and engineering. When I learned about Senate Bill 9, I quickly discovered that there wasn't a lot of information on it. So I went to the sources, the people who should know the information, the architects, the engineers, both civil and structural, including planners. And not many people had the right information. I quickly discovered that there was a big void in this process. The process being getting plans approved by whomever produces those plans. It may be a general contractor, it may be an architect. That ability to get those plans and negotiate with the cities to get approvals, there was something missing. And part of it has to do with understanding the Senate bills that are passed, the ordinances that cities create, that create overlays on top of those laws, working with planning, building and safety, public works. These can all be a very complicated task for most individuals, but I assembled a really strong team of individuals that are passionate about helping homeowners, realtors, lenders, and helping create this awareness that benefits everyone immensely. We do have family members that are planners and friends that are planners that work for various cities and oversee Senate Bill 9. And we've had many encounters with many cities who have the wrong interpretation of what Senate Bill 9 allows. And we've been able to talk to them and explain to them the real meaning of SB 9 so that homeowners can reap those benefits as well. We are the only company in Southern California that has multiple approvals in many cities, including Lakewood, Downey, Long Beach, Carson, Santa Ana, to name a few, and construction has already begun on many of these projects. So, this is our team. Who are we and what do we do specifically? Like I mentioned, our team is very passionate about helping homeowners accomplish what this law allows. So much so that we are experts in understanding the laws and how to use them to benefit our clients. And this is that void that was missing, and we have that edge. Our general contractors have been building for 30 plus years. Our architects have been doing design and planning for 20 plus years, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone is at the top of their game, including our civil and structural engineers. And again, our objective is to maximize the rental income potential of any size lot. Okay, let's learn about SB 9. Why is this important right now? We are in a housing crisis. There's just not enough inventory of homes to go around, and that applies to rentals as well. So to combat the housing crisis, Senate Bill 9 was passed, which we reference it to the gold rush of the late 1840s. The only difference is we know where the gold resides. It is in people's existing lots, their principal residences or investment properties that they may own. And besides, what is the highest purpose of land? The highest purpose of land is to produce rents. The more, the better. Some folks have gotten very rich over the past generations by buying properties and refinancing and purchasing others, and they've developed a nice portfolio and some wealth because of that. SB 9 creates a pathway for everyone else to accomplish that now as well. Senate Bill 9 provides a pathway to access that gold in people's backyard now. Let's get into Senate Bill 9. Senate Bill 9 is also known as the Home Act, the Housing Opportunity and More Efficiency Act. What we're doing is we're becoming more efficient at creating housing opportunities within every lot. So we're going to discuss all the things that are part of Senate Bill 9. You're also going to learn to look at real estate from a builder's perspective. This may be something new for some of you, okay? And then at the end, we're going to discuss how you can work with RH Engineering and Development to help your customers and yourselves. Let's get into some important definitions first. Single-family dwelling. In real estate, we're accustomed to using single-family residences. In planning, we know them as single-family dwellings. The main principal home on a lot is a single-family dwelling. An accessory dwelling, we're familiar with these like a mother-in-law quarters, a pool home back in the day, but more importantly now, we see them as garage conversions or standalone structures in someone's backyards. A junior ADU typically is smaller than an ADU. In many instances, it requires to be part of the existing footprint of a main home. And it sometimes becomes cheaper for people to do a junior ADU because we can tap into the existing electrical, plumbing, and gas lines for that unit. Now, unit is used very, very loosely. It does reference both single-family dwellings, ADUs, and junior ADUs. We're going to get into the exact definitions and how they impact value in the next slides, but let's get into Senate Bill 9. The number one thing that comes up at the state website is that it provides homeowners a pathway to build intergenerational wealth. That is going to be a recurring theme, and you'll hear me say that quite a few times. But what it basically does, it allows an additional single-family dwelling on an existing lot, an R1 lot. We all know, or we may know, that an R1 lot typically can only have one single-family dwelling. Until recently, they allow ADUs. But Senate Bill 9 allows you to have two single-family dwellings, which would make you have basically two units or a duplex on the lot. In addition to that, you can still add an ADU and a junior ADU, and it does overlap with those existing ADU laws. It must be in an urban or urban cluster, which is defined as an area that has to have at least 2,500 residents. The minimum square footage of that single-family dwelling needs to be at least 800 square feet. The owner must live in the property for the next 3 years. There's a lot more flexibility in the build. For example, in some instances, no parking is required. We're able to demo an existing garage and in its place put a unit there instead. So in a given lot that has a single-family dwelling, we can add 3 additional structures, okay? A single-family dwelling, an ADU, and a junior ADU. But there's 2 components to Senate Bill 9. One is the 2 units, the other is a subdivision. It's also known as the duplex law because on a certain lot, you're able to split the lot. And on that split, you're able to add an additional 2 single-family dwellings. Like the law allows you to have 2 single-family dwellings, an ADU, and a junior ADU. Technically, you'd be able to add 7 additional structures under this law, so long as the lot permits it. You're also able to sell, if you split your lot, the new lot has its own parcel number, and you're able to sell that lot. You can improve the lot by adding those units and the ADU and junior ADU, and you can sell those, which would be very, very beneficial. And obviously, for realtors, that's a new listing. One of the advantages of doing a subdivision or a lot split or urban lot split is that it comes with a ministerial approval. Ministerial approval simply means that we're able to get a checklist and these department heads will sign off on this checklist, and now that approval for the subdivision is done in a matter of months versus years that it normally takes under a subdivision or a variance. That's a big deal. It does work with purchases, but most importantly, what it does, it helps create a lot of additional equity. Okay, so here is an example in the city of Bellflower, for example. Even though we're saying this applies to R1 and a couple other zones, there is BF R106. That 06 designation makes it low density, which means it's not eligible for SB9. Okay, so there are exceptions, and here are some more restrictions that apply to Senate Bill 9. The homes cannot be in historic zones or high fire hazard safety zones. They cannot be in farmland, wetlands, or habitat for protected species, hazardous waste, earthquake fault zones, and there are restrictions in certain rent controlled areas, But more importantly, these are not for investors. This is opportunity for regular homeowners to create a bunch of housing and create intergenerational wealth for their families. It's like buying, instead of buying rental properties and paying a premium, like most real estate is at the moment, they're able to create these rental properties on their existing lots, like an ADU on steroids.
Tune into part 2